on climate leadership, it also made a commitment to make the nation as resilient as possible. Many initiatives have since been taken by the Fijian government to adapt to the realities of climate change. And we are indeed very proud that Fiji is the first in the Pacific to develop the Planned Relocation Guidelines, the first in the world to use a legal modular structure of the policy based on a hybrid approach, and one of the first countries in the world to develop an individual policy on planned relocation in relation to climate change and disasters. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have the Honorable Minister and the COP23 High-Level Climate Champion, Honorable Inia Seruiratu, as the keynote speaker and to launch this document. I would now like to invite the Honorable Minister to deliver his keynote address. Sir, you have the floor.
I would like to begin by thanking everyone for your presence at this launch event. On behalf of the Fijian Government, we welcome you to the Pacific and Koronivia Pavilion, our home away from home. At the outset, I would like to thank the German government and the European Union for their increasing and continuous support for Fiji's climate change projects. We look forward to greater opportunities for partnership in the future. Fiji, although often unnoticed on the world map due to its relatively small size, is known for its pristine natural beauty and is a popular destination for tourists from all over the world. But we cannot take this for granted, as climate change endangers the very existence of so much that Fiji holds dear. Colleagues, like every other small island state in the Pacific region, Fiji is extremely vulnerable to climate change and faces disproportionately high disaster risks. Slow onset events like rising temperatures and sea level, coastal erosion, and saltwater intrusion are occurring at an accelerated rate due to climate change. This phenomenon affects all aspects of life, threatening the existence and livelihoods of Fijian communities and affecting migration patterns within and outside of Fiji. Coping with and adapting to the challenges of climate change is a daily reality for many communities in Fiji, as elsewhere across the Pacific, and communities respond with a variety of adaptation measures. Seawalls are built and mangroves replanted. Among these different approaches, planned relocation in Fiji is a relatively new response to the effects of climate change, and one that is viewed as an option of last resort. Relocation is a complex process and can be traumatic for those involved. It is not just a case of economics and physical structures. There are a number of complex, non-tangible aspects associated with relocation, which can include challenges to identity, as well as various psychological, social, emotional, and cultural damages. Ladies and gentlemen, now please allow me to give you an example of a relocation of a village in Fiji in early 2014 to reduce vulnerability to encroaching sea level and inundation events that regularly devastated the community. The residents of Vunindongoloa, a village on the shoreline of Fiji's second largest island, Vanuatu, became the nation's first community to relocate due to climate change. The village's 26 home sat mere meters from the coast, but with 4 decades of higher tides and intensive rainfall, Vunindongoloa, its homes, gardens, crops, and trees found itself at the mercy of relentlessly encroaching seawater. Migrating to higher ground offered the only remaining option for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, to date, a total of 3 villages have already been successfully fully relocated in Fiji. 2 partially relocated, and 2 more in the initial stages of relocation. And according to the Fijian Green Growth Framework, there are around 42 more communities recommended for relocation. Proper scientific assessment of the dynamics of these communities is critical. The Fijian government is making long-term preparations that will be accompanied by reliable hazard maps and socio-economic studies that depict scenarios of hazards in the community. To reiterate our commitment towards climate change adaptation and building resilience for our communities, I am pleased to inform that Fiji has taken the lead in developing its first ever planned relocation guidelines, thereby setting the stage for the other countries to follow. The guidelines have been developed with the support of GRZ to assist the guide relocation efforts at the local level. By doing so, Fiji is one of the first nation states to develop a national framework that guides the planned relocation process. The process of relocating a community is complex and very costly, and relocation is certainly traumatic for those who must leave their homes, their familiar surroundings, and the place of their ancestors behind. The planned relocation guidelines, therefore, ensure that the relocation of any local community is carried out in a manner that guarantees its long-term survival, has viable options for economic activity, and provides support and services for those being relocated. The guidelines also contain provisions to ensure the well-being and safeguard the rights of vulnerable members of any community being relocated. Ladies and gentlemen, the guideline also serves to demonstrate the Fijian government's commitment to effectively respond to the need for relocation related to climate change, drawing from the latest developments in the area of human mobility, the latest scientific findings and assessments and guides, studies carried out in the country. We anticipate that the guidelines will also accelerate Fiji's progress in meeting its sustainable development goals and other national, regional, and global commitments. This document does not exist on its own, but aligns with the provision of Fiji's 5-year and 20-year National Development Plan, Fiji's National Adaptation Plan, the Climate Change Policy, and other relevant national, regional, and international frameworks. We have developed the guideline in a holistic and participatory manner through a collaboration between government and civil society, including representatives from gender groups and various communities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Fijian government is committed to undertaking necessary relocations that are well conceived, efficiently administered, and humanely executed. We appreciate the support of all the stakeholders involved as we carry out this challenging but critical duty. Working together, we can ensure that the affected communities will not only feel secure, but can thrive long into the future. At this juncture, I take this opportunity to wholeheartedly thank countries, development partners, and non-governmental stakeholders for their continued support towards Fiji's development efforts and for being there in times of distress. If our development ambitions are to come to fruition, it must be underpinned by strong climate actions that are catalyzed with adequate and predictable finance. Therefore, I reiterate the importance of financing for Fiji as we continue to champion the battle against climate change. With these words, I am delighted to launch Fiji's planned relocation guidelines and invite you to witness our journey in the development of the guidelines through a video. Thank you. Vinawaleu.